All right, here is my most recent patch, Deep Grooves. There's really just three things happening here: bass drum, some hi-hat stuff, and then the vocal bass line with Plaits. Let's talk the bass drum first. That's what you're hearing now. This is all oscillator 2 of the minibrute, being controlled by maths. So the varigate is giving me my triggers. Happening every once in a while. I do have it multed to trigger both channels of maths for that. So this is just given the randomized pattern a little bit. Channel 1 for maths is being triggered by that, and then sent actually into channel 2 and then attenuated there. I know I could just pull out the 1 and use the attenuated signal, but I use that for something else later up here. So I send it into channel 2 and turn it up just a little bit, and that is controlling the pitch of oscillator 2 right here, so that when that triggers, if I turn up this 2, so just a little bit of that to give the pitch bend in the bass. It's a pretty sharp signal there, not too long. The other channel of maths then is getting the same trigger, but I have it set a little bit longer, and this is the one that's actually controlling the volume. So you can see I've got channel 4 right here turned up about this much, and that's actually the one that's controlling the VCA of my oscillator as well. So oscillator 2 is getting its pitch controlled by channel 1 of maths, and then it's coming out of the minibrute here and into here with that controlling the volume from channel 4. So that's the bass drum. I can control how long the fall is. And I'll explain why I did this thing here a little bit later at the end. So the next thing we'll do, I'm going to go ahead and I'll just turn off the bass drum. No, I'll add in the other parts. So the next one that we have is the hi-hat one that's coming from being run through the minibrute. And that is being triggered from another channel from my varigate, this 4th channel, which is triggering my AD envelope. And the AD envelope, the only thing happening is white noise here. And then I've got my filter set on bandpass mode, and I start with the resonance all the way down at the beginning of the song and go from there. And then the output of my amp is this green cable out of the amp into up here, so I got this. So that's coming right up here, and then what I actually have happening is the AD envelope is controlling the volume of it down here in the minibrute, but I have the decay time controlled by LFO1. So LFO1 is set to be sequentially with it on stepped random, and then that's just attenuated down a little bit with attenuator 1, which also means that LFO1 is also set to the cutoff point through this, and then that is going to control the delay time. So that's where I'm getting these variations that happen both in the cutoff frequency and the length of time. And some of the notes get skipped because of the pattern that I have up here in channel 4. The other interesting thing that I do with this is once I add in some of the resonant frequencies, you can really begin to hear a little bit more of that LFO1's randomness controlling the filter, because we get a little bit of that resonance and almost, not quite self-oscillation, but a lot more of that interesting pitchiness from that. that's the hi-hat stuff, mostly controlled down here by the minibrute, sequenced by the varigate, and then sent out the amp through this bright green cable. I'll talk about this dark green cable in just a moment. The final thing is this bass line. Let me take the hi-hats back out and bring in this bass line here. This is Plaits on vocal mode. Again, being triggered by varigate. This is on 4 gates here, so channel 1 is also a gate. Just being triggered here by a random kind of setup of a sequence there. Pitches then coming into the volts per octave from the minibrute from this keyboard track here, where I've got basically the 12-bar blues set up here with some other interesting notes tossed in, with some sliding in between it. Again, to get sliding between pitches, you push shift and then slide the knob, and it'll tell you how many milliseconds it takes to get there. So I added that in to get some of that. So I then have into the Morph knob, which kind of gives some of the changes in vowels. I have LFO2, which is similarly to LFO1, set up on a random sequence that's set up with the tempo. Huh, I didn't play in my song having it be slower. That would have sounded cool. But anyway, that's the basic idea. I did play with the timbre at one point to kind of make it feel like it's faded up and down. So, bring that back in. And that's the basics of it. The one final thing that I did is I actually did, with using maths, set up a side chain for the bass drum. So the reason why I did this into channel 2 and then out there was so that in channel 1, where it is what's originally, let me turn these guys down for a second. This channel 1 that's originally controlling the pitch of my bass drum is being sent, isn't being pulled out individually, so it's coming out the sum, and the sum is just including 3 and 1, because 2 and 4 are out. 3's not doing anything, so it's really just 1. And I can take out the sum and I can take out the inverse. So what I'm actually doing is I am having this pitch control of my bass drum be the CV control turning down the sound of my hi-hat and my thing. So the way I did that is I took the inverse, oh yeah, that's what it is. I take this and I turn it down. So when I turn this down, if I take out my bass drum for a second here, let's see here, let's just take this guy all the way out. So oh wait, no, I can do it here, that's right. So this is channel 4 is controlling my bass drum's volume. So I just turned down channel 4 here on my maths. We can't hear the bass drum anymore. But when I turn down into the negative, this one, it's actually going to turn down the volume of these two whenever the bass drum would be hitting. To the extreme, it sounds like this. And if I bring the bass drum in, you can hear it's turning down when the bass drum hits. And I did that by, I didn't have another mult, so the sum one is going to control this guy, and then the inverse one I actually have sent through another inverter on my minibrute, and then up here. I could have just multed the sum, but I don't have that many mults. So now when the bass drum kicks in, it leaves a little space in the bass line and the hi-hat for that. And I did that with the pitch control, just because it was a little snappier than the volume control of the bass that I originally tried first. Just because the volume one just didn't quite work how I wanted it to. So I can control how much those are cut out and the volume of that here, just to kind of give a good snap to the beginning of that bass drum and let it cut through. So that's what's going on. The other thing that I learned that I had to learn the hard way is I have Ableton over here running my actual metronome because I have some synced delays that I have in there. I just have some reverb and delay happening on my main channel there. And when I first was running my tempo through the minibrute, having that sent to Ableton, when I hit stop here, it stopped the recording and everything. But if I hit stop now, you get that nice tail of reverb and delay, because the tempo for the recording is actually running through Ableton, not through the minibrute. So the first time I recorded, I hit stop and it just dead stopped, and I didn't get that cool reverb and delay tail. So there you go. Let me know if you have any questions. This is a long one, but they're getting more complicated. And I got maths is my new one that I'm excited to try out and put it at. I kind of used it for some relatively basic purposes. I didn't modulate the rise and fall at all in this particular patch, but it's a new one, and I'm excited to see what all the fuss is about and see all the stuff I can get out of it. So there you go.